I don't really have any of the same friends or people in my life that I had 14 years ago, because they would look at me as, who is this person? He's completely different. But I was a tradesman in Australia, you know, so I grew up with this idea that I needed to be this blokey bloke, you know, like being a man. And every time I attempted to be a man based on those standards, I hated myself. This was by the time, just before I turned 30, I was 29. I was miserable in my life, but I also didn't like who I'd become. And I couldn't seem to find any joy. I couldn't seem to find anything that really lit my world up anymore. And I woke up one day and I was like, if this is it, I don't want to live anymore. I need something different. And I kind of just looked up and I was like, I didn't even know what I was asking for. Whether I was asking God or the universe or the stars or whatever was out there. And I was just like, I need some help. Please, will you help me? And it was the next day I found this little ad in the newspaper that said, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Call Mel was the girl's name. It was this tiny little ad in pink in the newspaper. And I called this girl and she was like, oh, I do this thing called Access Consciousness, and at worst case, it will be like you've had a great massage. At best case, your life will change. And I went and got this session with this girl, and she put her hands on my head to begin this session. And I laid there and I sobbed for an hour and a half. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And it was like every judgment that I had of me, every wall that I had up around me just started to crumble. After this session, I remember leaving she had this little clinic, this little room, and I left this room and I went and sat in my car, and I sat there for like 10 minutes just going, what just happened? And I didn't hate myself. You know, I didn't have to sit there and find out what was wrong. I could just sit there and be present with myself. And I knew from that point, I was like, okay, whatever this is a direction I would like to go in.